Hey everybody, what's going on? Welcome back to Third Wave Trades. We're going to be going over GameStop, ticker symbol GME, and I kind of want to just give you guys a comprehensive, complete technical analysis picture on what I see playing out with the stock. So it might be a little bit on the longer side. I'll try to leave timestamps down below so you guys can get to the best parts and fast forward through all my rambling. But before we get started, guys, if you could just do me a huge favor, if you guys find my content useful, entertaining, helpful in any way, please hit the like button down below. It really helps with the algorithms and all that. If you guys are new to the channel, if you guys enjoy my videos, hit the subscribe button down below and share the video with as many people as you can if you guys think it will benefit them, especially something like GameStop, which I think a lot of people are so invested in right now. I think a massive move is going to come very, very soon. So that's what I'm trying to show you guys in this video. And then just a quick disclaimer before we do get started, guys, I am not a financial advisor and this is not financial advice. Please do your own due diligence and research and or consult with a financial advisor before making any trading or investment decisions. All right, so the first thing that we need to go over is the wave count from the run up in April, right? So the move that started in April, basically right where Roaring Kitty tweeted and everybody had GameStop back on the radar, was roughly around this $10 mark, right? That's where we got this first push up. And that essentially made our first wave over here in the red. All right, so that was our first wave up. Then we had a second wave down back. So the first wave up took us to $80, roughly speaking. Second wave came back down to 17. Then we had this other rally up, right? So we had 1, 2, 1, and then we just very recently finished this green wave 2. So this was our second wave 2. So in terms of points of invalidation, we have this point of invalidation at $10 for the entire move. If at any point we break below $10, this entire move is invalidated. I don't see that happening anytime soon. Next point of invalidation would be this red wave 2, which is roughly around $17.75. I don't see that happening right now as well. Then we have this first wave up to $72, roughly around $67, and then recently completed it over here. So that point of invalidation would be at roughly $22. That is still possible, in my opinion, that we could break this and then we would hold above the $17 area. And what that would do is that would just move this second wave over here, and then this is a kind of an extended correction. I still see that as a less likely scenario, and we're going to go over this recent price action in a second. But so essentially what that means is that we have this 1-2-1-2 setup, right? So this is the setup as I see it playing out right now. So again, we had this 1-2, 1-2, and now this 1-2. And I think that we are going to get this massive third wave move very soon, which would complete this green third wave. After that, you get a fourth wave pullback, get another rally to complete the red third wave, another pullback, and then one final rally to complete the entire wave, right? At that point, this would be a first wave, and then you would get a large correction all the way back down. All right, so that's the overall picture. Now, it is possible that this move, we won't get this rally first. Instead, what we will see is this go as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, something like this, and then that creates another 1-2 scenario, right? So then you get 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, and then you get the massive third wave move, right? So that is still possible, but as of right now, I am leaning towards this green wave being in our third wave move, right? Instead of getting another 1-2 scenario. But we'll see. That is yet to be determined. But what I do think is going to happen is that we are going to get a push higher. I think we will hold above this point of invalidation at $22. and push higher at least to, I would say, that $35 to $50 range, right? You guys can see over here we have this 1 hour fair value gap from $50 to $60. So I think that is a safe target to go to. Very possible that we get a move like this instead, right? And then that just makes another 1-2 scenario. So we'll see how that plays out. But the overall picture still stands, in my opinion, that we are going higher. You can see we're making higher and higher points of invalidations, which is basically higher floors. And essentially, even though we're making lower highs in this time frame, that's kind of really just coiling up for that explosive third wave move, right? If you look at it from this perspective, if we are making lower highs like that, but we're making higher lows, it's kind of going to end up forming like this pennant situation that we could break out of, right? So that's the overall bigger picture. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is essentially the accumulation, different points of accumulation that have occurred throughout this play, including the most recent accumulation that we've been in, right, from the Wyckoff perspective. So if I zoom in over here a little bit, then you guys know that this is the accumulation that we've been looking at right here, right? So this is the most recent form of accumulation throughout this play, right? And I've discussed this, ad nauseum at this point, but you had your A phase, right, which was basically the stop of the downtrend. You had your B phase, which was basically the change of character into this sideways move and a series of tests. You had your spring down here, which began our first wave up in Elliott wave terms, but this was our spring. In phase D, we got the breakout, right? I talked about this in the last video as well, and now we're basically in our phase E. And one of the things that happened is that we actually broke back into the channel, which is not ideal. It's not something that you want to see. You want to see price hold above the channel, accumulate or consolidate around there, and then push higher. But it's not the end of the world. This has actually played out before, right here, and I'll show you guys that in detail in a second, right? But it's played out before, and we've had massive rallies up. So essentially, this is just forming that last point of support within the range, and in my opinion, we will still extend higher, right? Push a lot higher. So let me show you where that's played out before. All right, so let's come to this chart over here and let's take a look at the different points of accumulation. So if we look back over here, you can see similarly we had a phase A over here. Let me change that color. All right, so you had a phase A over here. You had your phase B right here. Phase C, we got that spring move. Phase D, we had the breakout. And then you guys can see we came back into the channel, right? During that phase E, formed that last point of support, and then we still broke out and made that strong rally up, right? Likewise over here, let me go on a smaller time frame so you guys can see it a little bit better. Over here, another accumulation channel, and again you had your phase A over here. You had your phase B. You guys could say like roughly around here. This was phase B. Although this whole move is kind of the spring move, kind of a shortening of the thrust wedge type of spring move. So that was your spring. You could say there. Phase D over here, we consolidate, break out at the top, and then here's our phase E. So this was an instance where we came back to the channel, but not so much. You guys can see we basically held towards the top of the channel, and then we had that massive push. So this is a more ideal situation, than something like this, but this does happen. So even though over here we are back into the accumulation channel, I don't think that it's necessarily a bearish signal or a sign that, you know, the breakout was a fake out. Not yet, at least, right? So those are other instances of accumulation. Now, this is the accumulation that we've been in since we hit since we've been that we've been in for the past month or so, right? And this yellow highlighted area is actually this accumulation. So this accumulation right here, in my opinion, is just a local accumulation of this larger accumulation channel. And as you guys can see, this breakout over here, while this was a phase E breakout in the local accumulation, it's only still part of phase D of this larger accumulation, right? So if I were to draw that out, again, you got phase A over here, you got phase B over here, phase C of the local accumulation lines up with the phase C of the larger accumulation. This is our phase D of the local accumulation breakout, and this is our phase E of the local accumulation, but it's only part of phase D of this larger accumulation, in my opinion, right? So I still see us pushing to the top of this channel at $35, $36, consolidate over here or form a last point of support over here, and then push higher from this accumulation. All right, so that's how I'm looking at it from the accumulation standpoint, and all that is basically just to say that we are in this uptrend move, right? And I don't see any signs as of right now of that changing or any reason to be bearish just because we're getting this this sell-off over here. It's still part of this accumulation channel, and it's really just a last point of support in this larger accumulation channel in phase D. So I still expect a breakout to the top over here around $35, $36, and that's kind of what the wave count is showing me as well. So let's discuss now the wave count on this more local or immediate time frame for the past month or so. All right, so then looking at this, right, where this would have been our spring and the beginning of our wave count, this is the wave count as I have it drawn up right now, right? So this is our first wave up. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 over here, and now we're doing our second wave correction. All right, so this is the correction that I have it as of right now, and in my opinion, the correction is coming to an end, or if it hasn't ended already, it is coming to an end, and it's not going to be that long of a correction. And what I mean to say is that in my last video, when I was kind of giving you guys an update on Thursday, I was saying how this looked like a three-wave move, and we could possibly get a three-wave move back to the upside, and then something like this could play out as a flat situation. Given how deep this retracement has already come, I think it's nearing its end. You guys can see we're already past that 61.8%, and anywhere now between here and the point of invalidation it's possible for it to come back to, right? If we break this point of invalidation at roughly 22.37, then obviously this whole move is invalidated. But up until that point, this second wave could continue to play out. Now, what I see playing out over here is this ABC for a W. Here's our X wave, and then this is another ABC for our Y wave, right? Essentially a 7-wave count: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I think that's basically the end of the correction. I think we're coming to an end of it. This has room to just trail off, in my opinion, a little bit more, possibly just go sideways and kind of create this wedge pattern, right? A shortening of the thrust type of move, which on a much smaller time frame that we can't even see, right? Like on like seconds and stuff, this would basically just be forming the same kind of like algorithmic accumulation, and then we will get that breakout for the third wave, right? So I think it can come, like, it'll drop somewhere possibly around 23.82, let's say, like one of these ranges over here, and then when you'll get the push up. If you go to a daily chart, and I show you guys the 50 EMA, and all right, so we've basically broken below our 21 EMA, which is this blue line over here, and our 50 EMA is around that 23, roughly $24. So I could see us touching that 50 EMA and using that as support, which would align again with that with the Fibonacci retracement level, and then I could see us bouncing up. So there is a little bit more room, in my opinion, for it to drop, but I think the correction is pretty much coming down to the tail end. And I know a lot of people are seeing that and getting bearish already, but I don't think it's really any reason, or there's any like major concerns that I am seeing. If we look at it from if we take a look at the RSI, you can see basically divergences forming. If you go on the 2-hour time frame, already we have this divergence forming right here, right? So we're making higher lows on price action, and we are making lower lows on the RSI. There's still room for the RSI to drop a little bit more to that 30, possibly 25 oversold area, but essentially that divergence is there, which is, a bullish divergence. So I can see the correction again. It could probably take a little bit more time, like time wise it could drag and stall out for a little bit, but in terms of the levels that it's at, I think it'll probably stay around that 24, maybe 23.50 area, and then kind of just slowly get some sideways move in a very tight narrowing range, and then we can get that explosive third wave move up. All right, so that's essentially where we stand right now in terms of the wave count, right? So then this would be our first wave, second wave. Once we know that the second wave is completely in, we can measure, right, assuming that would come down to roughly like the 2380 area. You could use the fib extension and kind of get an idea of where we think this third wave will take us, right? And it could take us honestly anywhere from this 161.8 level, which is at 3631, to as high as this 4.236 level, which is 5650, let's say. And that, that's not unlikely, especially given that this would be a third of a third of a third. It's very possible that we hit that area, and it's highlighted over here because, again, that's that fair value gap that I was talking about, that $50 to $60 range. So, and honestly, it could even go much higher, because what we could end up forming over here is within this third of third of third, you end up getting 1-2-1-2 scenarios, and it becomes a very impulsive move, right? So what I mean to say is that this could end up being 1-2-1-2 1-2 1-2, and then you get a massive third wave move, something like that, right? So again, I'm extremely bullish on it. I don't see any cause for concern just yet. For me, the first sign of concern would be if we were to break below 2238, right? This point of invalidation. If we were to break below here, which is the starting point of our first wave here, then I would start to worry a little bit. But in terms of what I'm seeing right now, it's just a basic retracement of a impulsive first wave, right? So no cause for concern on my end over there. And now, in terms of a trade scenario, how could you play this? Well, assuming that the second wave, is completed somewhere around here, right? Let's say it completes somewhere around here. You can easily take a long position and you can set the target for, again, like that 35-36 area, which is that 1.618% extension. You set your stop loss over at the point of invalidation, and then you guys can see the risk to reward over here, right? And that's just a trade setup for anybody who wants to like play calls in this scenario or something like that. I understand, most people who are watching GameStop are, long, in it for the long term, right? The shareholders and the apes just buy and hold. Completely agree with that strategy as well. But in terms of a trade setup, this is a possible trade setup. It's a third wave trade, in my opinion. So it's a very promising setup. What else can we talk about? In terms of other forms of technical analysis, I'll just show you guys. I'm not huge on necessarily chart patterns and things like that, but it's, because I prefer to understand the the logic behind why those patterns and things form. But you guys can see we have a cup and handle forming, right? There's your cup, there's your handle, the breakout above it. Normally it will go from 1 to 1, right, from the area of the breakout. So the length of the cup to the area of the breakout, you're looking for a 1 to 1. So that's showing you roughly around $37-40, right? So that's your cup and handle. But if you just understand what the cup and handle is like from an Elliott wave or a Wyckoff perspective, the underlying logic of why these cup and handles form, which is, again, this is your first wave, second wave, here's your third wave breakout, right? So just something interesting, just wanted to show you guys. So you have your cup and handle, and then we push higher. You guys, again, we could get that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 going into this 1 hour fair value gap, and then you pull back for another ABC right here, and then we push higher again, and then you guys can see that basically forms. That's a horrible color choice. Let me do that in a different color, right? So you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 into that fair value gap. You get that push A, B, C back, and then you can see all that does is just form another cup and handle for us, right? Do it like this. That would just form this larger cup and handle then, right? So that's basically the underlying logic between for cup and handle patterns. But yeah, overall, guys, I see nothing but bullish patterns playing out on this chart, from the Wyckoff, Elliott wave, just technical chart patterns. We're making higher highs, higher lows. RSI is diverging, showing bullish divergences. I don't see any reason to be bearish on this stock just yet. Again, for me, the first time that I would start to reconsider things is probably if we break this 22 area of support, right, this point of invalidation. But even then, it doesn't invalidate the entire play. All it does is just invalidate this as being the start of another 1-2, and it just means that this second wave is still playing out, right? You still have this point of invalidation, and this is the point of invalidation for the entire move at roughly $10. So yeah, overall, I think it's just coiling up again for this larger move. So that's kind of where I stand with it right now. This is what I'm looking at, and this is what I kind of like see playing out, something like this. So that's really all I got for you guys. If you guys got comments, questions, leave them down below. If you guys found the video useful, helpful, entertaining, please do me a huge favor, hit that like button down below, subscribe to the channel if you guys are new, and share the video if you can with as many people, especially something like GameStop, which is, a lot of people are definitely watching this stock right now. If you feel like it would be helpful to them, go ahead and share that video. And yeah, I'll be back with more. Appreciate you guys. Peace.